there's nobody that's had a better year, you know, off the spot than Patrick has. Russ has always been noted for that, and so there's similarities in that regard. Both baseball backgrounds kind of guys, you know, infielders, you know, all that kind of stuff.
What he's done so quickly surprised you, Mahomes, in his first year as a
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic job by their staff and Andy putting together an offense that could make sense to him so that he could execute this well. I mean, remember, you go back to the first month of the season, he was just on fire, you know, with all of the touchdowns and the explosive plays and all of that. He's got a great group around him. But to bring the quarterback along that quickly in a sophisticated attack, that's a big accomplishment by their coaching staff. And Patrick has made, you know, full use of all of it, and he's had a great season.
He's so talented and can do so much. It's never going to be an easy matchup against him, but why is this time of year a good time to catch him after your secondary's seen so much?
Well, I don't know if there's a good time, but this is the time, so we're going to try to make the best of it. You know, that they have shown everything now. You know, we've seen them. You know, after all these games, we know what kind of the whole scope of this offense is. The first month of the season, everybody was kind of on their heels, and so hopefully we can, you know, settle into it. It's not that it gets easy because they have such a diverse attack that, you know, you got to be ready for a lot of stuff. But you know, our guys are, you know, they're up for it. They're ready for the challenge and all of that. And we got to do a great job on their really classy receivers. You know, Kelsey and Hill are just unbelievably talented guys, having great years. So there's a lot of issues here. So I think our guys will be ready to do this.
Beyond the speed aspect, what makes Tyreek Hill a difficult guy to handle?
Yeah, he does everything. He runs routes really well. He's really tough at making a catch. He's made circus catches with guys all over him. He's taking the ball away from guys. In the running game, they've used him. You know, he's obviously a big deal in the return game too. But he's more complete of a player than you would expect a guy that would be that fast. You kind of hope he'd be more like a track guy. He's not. He's a ball player. He can do everything. He runs all the routes, and then he gets after the football, you know, as well as any receiver. He's got a lot of great catches over the course of the season that show you the whole range of his catching ability. So he's been really tough.
Dixon is, you know, the first rookie punter since 1985 to make the Pro Bowl. Obviously, you picked him for a reason in the 5th round, but has he surpassed your expectations in any way?
Yeah, he really has. I mean, I couldn't have imagined, you know, that he could be so consistent throughout the season in his rookie year. And I mean, he had a great game with the weather and the wind and, you know, a little bit of rain last week and all that too, turf and all that. You know, I just couldn't have imagined that he could be that consistently good. So we're thrilled about the pick and thrilled about having that guy on our team. He's got a great attitude about it. He's handled everything well. So I'm really proud of him.
You have a quarterback like Mahomes or Russell who plays off script that much. As a defensive coach, I mean, how do you play to that or adapt to that?
You're forced to. First of all, you're forced to because you don't know. It's a play action pass that turns into a sprint out. You know, it's a drop back pass that turns into a QB draw. You know, and there's another play starting, and sometimes 2 plays starting. You know, he may run over here and then get back in the pocket and throw it from there. So that has always been the most difficult element of defensive play. You know, to deal with a quarterback that can change the play after the fact. I mean, it's hard enough stopping the regular plays. So. And he's a good runner too, and he's adept at making people miss, and he has good choices and decision making, when to get down, when to go for it. I mean, all of that. So you just have to just work at it and try to keep the explosive plays from happening, and you know, keep them somewhat corralled the best you can. It's just like any quarterback, if you can rush them, you have a chance to slow down their effectiveness. So we have to do that too. So we have to take some chances, you know, at the right time. It just takes every aspect of every part of your game, and then there's a big element just in the scramble mode in itself. You know, there's a lot of discipline that is called on there for the coverage guys and the rush guys to stay in phase so that we have a chance. So it's just as tough as it gets. That's why Russell's always been so effective. He's always had that whole other element to him that just drives you crazy on the other side of the ball.
You mentioned consistency with Michael Dixon. Bobby Wagner is a Pro Bowler for the 5th straight time, 7 years over 100 tackles. Just how impressive is the way he's done it every year of his career?
Yeah, he's done it again in the same fashion, but just a little bit better. You know, it just seems like he's a little bit better. He's made more big plays, more significant plays that have affected the game than ever. the thing I love about looking at great players, do they show, that ability to do it year after year after year? I think that's what greatness is all about. And, guys, you say, hey, this guy's going to be the next Jerry Rice. Well, let's look 10, 12 years from now and see what, what he looks like, And Bobby's put together a resume of really Hall of Fame stuff. I mean, this is the kind of guy that gets there someday, and to add on to that, the leadership that he's brought and the direction and the focus that he's brought on a regular basis, I mean, he's been really a perfect Seahawk throughout the whole time he's been here, and we're just very lucky to have him.
What's your right guard situation look like for Sunday? And with Fant's return, does he give you some flexibility maybe with what you can do with Jermaine, for example?
Well, let's wait and see on that one, okay? We'll wait and see how this goes. Jordan Simmons, you got the word that he needs to get likely get some work done on his knee to get it back, so he's out. So we have to. There's some decisions that we're making. Let's see how it goes. The week goes, if you don't mind.
Any update on Rashad?
I appreciate nobody knowing about that until we get to the time we want to tell you. Too, if you could.
Update on Rashad?
He's going to try to do some stuff tomorrow. It's uncertain, though, if he can get back. We don't know yet. He's really determined to try to make it back so that Friday is the day he can go for it, show that he can run and get rolling. He's been really diligent about his rehab, so we'll see what happens. His attitude's really good on it. You notice that we went after, picked up Bo Scarborough. That's insurance for us right now. We're serious about running the football, and this guy is a guy that gives us an attack mentality and the physical aspect of it in the event that maybe we are come up short here, and I think we realized it during the game last week when a couple guys got banged a couple times, and then all of a sudden you go bang bang and you're out. You run down to your last running back. Those guys were fine and all that, but it did just reminded us of the sense of urgency. So I hope Rashad's back, and we'll see what happens.
In the past, you've said that it's difficult to scout college offensive linemen because they're not doing the things that you need to do. In light of Mahomes playing in college in the so-called version of the air raid offense, do you find similarly that it's difficult to scout those type of guys, or were there other reasons why he fell, a talented guy like him fell to number 10?
It depends. It depends on whether, how extreme they are at their style of the passing game. If it's all, RPO stuff and the ball's coming out, off the run game, that's a good concept that we all like, and we do some of that. But if that's all the team does, or if it's all just perimeter screen stuff, then you're not seeing the guy read downfield. It just depends on really how the offense is constructed. In Patrick's situation, John was in love with him. He knew that he had something really special. He thought he was worthy of going up there on the very top of the draft, and we were surprised that he made it, 10th or 11th or something like that. Yeah, we were surprised that he made it to that by our evaluations. But it really just depends on the system and really what they're called on to do.
What kind of back is Scarborough?
He's a hammer. He's big, runs big and strong, slasher. Real physical guy. He's a big kid, and handles the ball well, catches the ball well. He's a big-time player at Alabama. There's so many backs that nobody got featured, but he was legit.
How is DJ doing for you?
I just talked to him out there on the field during walkthrough, and he's going to try to find out what he can do at the end of the week. We're not going to know until the end of the week. That's why all of the questions are still out there about what we're doing at guard.
How later in the season, people have seen more of what the Chiefs do. Were there times in Russell's first or second year where teams sort of had a beat on him and he had to adapt and kind of transcend it?
We've been through phases. There was, I don't remember what year it was now, but there was phases where the running game really picked up, and boy, we were running like crazy with Russ and the option game and all that stuff, and that changed some because people changed their way of playing stuff. So there's been phases of that we've been through. That's kind of what you do, in ball. Things come and go a little bit, and then some of the stuff you can revisit, and bring back around, which we continue to run the quarterback, but it's not as big a deal as it was in the past. But Russ has always been pretty adept at all the phases of it. So when we pull it out, he's okay. He's had to adapt with us, though. I think he's done a good job of that.
Why is Andy Reid's offense still at the top of the league after decades?
He's one of a kind. I mean, he is an extraordinarily creative guy, and he's been able to stay at the cutting edge of what's going on. And he does a really nice job of researching what's happening in the college game, and he's picked and choose things out of that. His control of the offense and is willingness to try stuff. He's been innovative and inventive, and it didn't always stick, and but he's done a lot of really great things that I think young coaches could really learn from. He's just been, and he's done it for such a long time, and he's still out there, and I think he's just a magnificent coach, in that regard. And I mean, don't forget how he's been able to win consistently and have good, tough teams while he's been that creative and that outgoing with his offense. He just gets it, and he's a great ball coach.
What's been the signature of the latest iteration of his change and adapting and modernizing?
He's just, not to sell too much, but he's just continued to use the run-pass game. The stuff that we call RPOs, that stuff has become a much bigger part of his offense in selected times, and the quarterback was really good at it. What he's really a master at is adapting to the makeup of the QB. His offense was much different, in the last years with Alex, and he's just, he's on it, and it's really impressive. Fun to go against him.
You guys had a touchdown drive against the Vikings. 7 plays and 6 were carries by Chris Carson. How difficult is that for a running back to, because he said afterwards, he said, I just wanted to get to the sidelines and rest after I scored. How difficult is that, and how often do you dare?
It doesn't happen very often, that committed to the run, but I don't know if it's as difficult as it is. It's just a challenge for the guy to just keep coming. And usually the guys, the more they run, as we've always heard, the better they get, because they become more instinctive and more reactionary to what's going on. And Chris is a wonderfully instinctive runner, and really you just keep throwing it at him, and he'll find a way to do something good. Now we don't want to wear him out, but sometimes you just got to go, and he's answered the call. He didn't tell me that he wanted to come out in that drive, so I didn't see him tap out. Yeah. We'll let that go.
What do you think that young coaches can learn from a guy like Andy Reid? When you were a veteran coach, how much does just watching other veteran coaches either inspire you to commit to what you're doing, to look at things differently, and just to kind of keep honing your craft?
If you don't have just kind of an embedded curiosity that drives you to continue to try to find an edge and keep working, and we refer to it as how we compete, but it really is a curiosity too that you're just never satisfied. There's always maybe something around that next corner if you keep looking and you keep digging, and it can come from anywhere. I don't care where the good ideas come from, and sometimes they come in the middle of the night, and sometimes they're when you're sitting in a lunchroom, things pop, but. It's enormously important, if you're going to keep moving, that you've got to have that curiosity, and that's I can't even imagine what Andy's like. He must be just on it all the time, and I really admire it. But it is important to watch, whether it's the young guys or the old guys, it doesn't matter,
What's the plan with Bradley this week?
He's going to be in rehab thing all week, kind of like I think it was KJ or a couple of our guys have done, and so he'll be out of the area working on his stuff, but we'll see him back on Friday.
What's the breakdown that leads to all these holding penalties on the offensive line?
The attention to the details of the officiating. They're really on it. They're on it hard, and they're doing a good job of calling what they want to call. We've had plays reviewed, and they really stuck with what they called in the games, and so they're just not allowing offensive guys to gain an advantage, and they're kind of on a run right now. It started about a month ago, and word came out from the league they're going to look at some stuff and look more intently, and they've called more. I don't know what the numbers are the last week or so, but I think I might have mentioned to you about 3 weeks ago when the word came out, they like doubled in frequency calls. So they're just on it, and they've just decided they're going to just make sure that the game is played the way it's supposed to be played. So we just have to adapt. There's no complaining here. This is the way it is, and our players have to adapt, coaches have to adapt, and we can't allow stuff to go that they're going to call, and we have to know what they're going to call by studying really hard.
Do you think all these flags are kind of hurting the game a little bit?
The stopping and starting of the penalty thing is really a distraction to the game. There's no question about it, particularly in down the stretch and all that. But it's not I don't ever feel like I want to gripe about officiating, but we like to see them play the game. It's like when NBA, let them play. And the game is better when they're playing. But you got to control it. You got to do the right thing, and they're doing the best they can.
Will you gripe about mid-season changes? I mean, that seems to be an unfair burden.
Well, I don't know if it's an unfair burden. We just need to know it's happening. You know, as long as they keep us in the loop and we know what's going on, then you know, we're called on to adapt the way they're doing it. They're just trying to make the game right. And sometimes they can get kind of, you know, where they're in a mode where they're not calling stuff, and then that's when they check themselves and then they fix things and make sure that they get back to the consistency that they want. So that's, you know, it's a big deal. These guys, they study it hard, they work hard at it. They're not just haphazard about the way they're doing this, and you know, we have to adapt. We can't do anything about it. Complaining does no good at all.
What is KJ's situation this week?
He's practicing. So he's ready to go today, and we'll go one day at a time. Really excited about him getting a chance to get back out there, of course, and he looks so good on the field. He's a monster out there, you know, and so it's great to see him and Bobby line up together. We'll see if we can carry that out through the week.
Back to Bradley, do you expect him to actually play Sunday?
Possibly, yeah.
Is it common that they do that in the middle of the season, change an emphasis like that?
This was pretty drastic, you know. I mean, when the calls go double in a week, you know, and then they went back down, you know, after that. Then the next 2 weeks, I don't know what happened this last week. I don't know what happened, but you know, the coaches send in their words. They're seeing guys hold, and they keep going. They responded, you know, and I think that's why they adapted, and we might not have been prepared for it, but as quickly as we needed to be.
Did you feel like that was an emphasis that needed to be refocused? I mean, the flip side is your guys, in theory, were being held on defense. I mean, did you feel like, wow, these offensive linemen?
You know, in some regards, you know, we have a chance to communicate with the office, you know, and tell them what we're seeing. You know, there are some teams that have some ways about them that you know, at times, you know, you'd like to check them and at least make them aware of it, and then they call what they think they need to call. So I'm going to stay right there with that. Okay.
How much of college offense has changed since you coached against them? Do you still have an advantage over a guy who's maybe coached in the NFL for 40 straight years because you have that experience?
Everybody's pretty tuned in, you know. I think guys, you know, everybody's studying and paying attention. I don't think so too much. You know, it was kind of when we were at SC, when Chip got going, you know, and his offense came alive, and the real speeded up, no huddle stuff was really jumping to the forefront. And now it's just like normal stuff. It's no big deal anymore. But there was a time there, you know, so we were there at the cutting edge. But I go all the way back to when I was in the AFC East and we played against Marv Levy's offense, you know, and the K-Gun, you know, they were going at a great tempo way back then. And it just kind of got lost. But so it's like it's been around for a long time, the tempos and the changes and stuff like that. You know, I don't know. It's not that big a deal. We just got to adapt again.
Is Jordan Simmons' injury anything that would impact his availability next season?
No.
You guys are leading the NFL in rushing. Were you surprised at all that not one lineman was maybe named to the Pro Bowl team, or what does that say?
Well, Sweezy's got some attention in there. Yeah, I don't know how anybody had a better year than Dwayne Brown did. I don't know, you know, how that would happen. He's been there before, but at least looking at the throwing game, maybe. Meanwhile, we're running it.
He's tied for #1 in the NFC in touchdowns and second in passer rating, but Aaron Rodgers is in there over him.
There's a lot of people voting, you know, and we know how good he is. He's an ultimate also.
Anything else? Thank you.
Okay, guys.